Where's my D20? Gobbo! Hello and welcome to Hobb's Horror Stories. I am Hobb, your hobgoblin narrator. This part of our channel is dedicated to sharing stories from tabletop role players. I love being able to give a voice to the people and share stories they write. Not all stories from this series will necessarily be horror, but all stories here deserve to be shared. Also, if we do get enough views on our videos, we can share our own horror stories, as both Gobbo and I have been through the ringer. For today, we have a great TTRPG horror story for you. This story comes from a friend of the channel who wished to be our first story. It is titled, That Time I Was an Edgelord. Let's begin. That time I was an edgelord. As I begin this story, I would like you all to know I have grown as a person, and I deeply regret everything I did during this one-shot. So at the time, I was 19 and brand new to D&D. I had only played one other session before this. The only part of it I fully understood was my friend and the DM telling me that D&D is like improv, but you have to make a set character. You do whatever you feel like your character would do. I, having a theater kid background, said, oh yeah, I can definitely do that. So the session rolls around and there were 3 players and the DM for this one shot. The players were Fred, boyfriend of James, playing an elf ranger, James playing a tiefling blood hunter, and then me. Oh, I went edgy. Honestly, now I don't even understand how I could get so edgy. My character was a half-orc Oath of Vengeance paladin who was formerly a slave. He believed that his sole purpose in life was to slay monsters, including all those he deemed monsters. He had the personality of Sam Winchester when he lost his soul, but with a bit more ruthlessness to him. His name was Sledge, due to how he freed himself from slavery. One night he prayed to a god for a way out, and then the next day while tending the field he came across an old warhammer, which he called Sledge, due to his intelligence of 6. He believed this was his way to freedom, so he used it to murder his captors. He then thought of himself as a weapon, so he took the name as well. Before I get into the game itself, I should let everyone know that this game was supposed to be a fun introduction for Fred to D&D. A quick comment from the narrator here. If you do have a brand new player to a game you are familiar with, try to be as helpful as you can. TTRPGs can be very intimidating, especially for new players, so try not to add more stress on top of that. Now let's get back to the story. So, our session begins and our characters each arrive at a town, where all the people are frozen as stone statues. We all arrive and started investigating the town, discovering the cause of this was a curse. My character was the one who discovered this, as the other 2 spent about 15 minutes awkwardly flirting with each other in character, which I would have been fine with if both of them were flirting. Fred flirted 1 time. Then, James uncomfortably flirted with Fred the whole rest of the session, as we all wanted it to stop.
Hello, last minute Sleepy Gobbo here. Quick word that Hobb forgot to mention, public displays of affection can make others uncomfortable sometimes, so double check that your group is fine with it before going through.
We figure out what caused the curse, and that it is guarded by a manticore. Again, by we, I mean myself. Fred tried to help but was being harassed by his boyfriend the whole time. We eventually come face to face with the manticore and see a blood gem behind it that was the cause of this curse. The fight starts, and within 2 rounds both Fred and James were down and making death saves due to them choosing not to heal, even though they had healing potions on them. While they were doing that, I spent my first round of combat prepping with Shield of Faith and getting out a shield and Warhammer, and then doing a Vow of Enmity. I then went towards the monster and started destroying it with a critical hit which, between Smite and Savage Attack, did a ton of damage. Then came the third round of combat, me at full health and then full lay on hands. The Manticore barely standing and both party members down. James, out of character, started begging me to heal his character and Fred's character. I was stuck on what to do, so being a fairly new player, I asked my DM. The DM said to do whatever my character would do in that situation, so I did. I spent my turn attacking with another crit, killing the Manticore. Then I went and smashed the gem as a bonus action because the DM allowed it. Combat was over, but they were still making death saves. I, being fully in character, walked over to them, both down, and said this: "If the gods deem you worthy to live, you shall survive this. For I take no pity, and have no action to help those who did not help themselves." And then my character left them to die. James was pissed. So pissed that he left, and didn't talk to me for about a week. Fred was cool, and was like, "Nah, I get it, man." James' character made all of his saves, and was fine. Fred did not. Honestly, my main regret of it was not helping Fred to have a better first session. He was a super cool guy. So Fred, if you do happen to read this and figure out what story this is, through the name changes, I am sorry. James, at the time I felt bad, but now after everything that has happened, I do not regret it for a moment. However, that is a horror story for another day. The thing I learned here is to make sure all of my characters nowadays are team players. A little conflict is okay, but always remember that it's a game, and everyone should be having fun. I am glad that OP did learn from this experience, and OP did say it well at the end. It's okay to play as an edgy character, but make sure that they are a good teammate. The fun of everyone is the main thing that is important. Everyone should remember that regardless of what system you play, it is all a game, that you and everyone else is playing to have fun. I do hope to hear more in the future from OP about James and see just what he meant. I think that about sums up my thoughts. Time for this video's conclusion. I hope you enjoyed today's story. If you have any stories you would like to have read here on the channel, please share them to the email in the description below. Also, if you could please like, comment, and subscribe, it would help us greatly to slay the monster known as the algorithm. Thank you for your time from all of us here at Goblins and Gremlins.